got your first look at these linebackers, what was something you noticed that you're like, okay, we got to get better here?
I think it was just the fundamentals like I talked about. There were some things that first and foremost, stance. Just the stance that we get in. Every play that you play starts in a stance, and if you're in the best possible stance that you can be to execute your job, as far as getting off blocks, taking steps in the direction of the play, all of those things, then you're going to give yourself an advantage. And the whole thing about playing the position is to eliminate wasted movement, make sure everything we do is in the direction of the play or our assignment, and then to finish it physically, with a bad attitude. So, I mean, really, it was day one, coming in. All right, we're going to go through our stance, our alignments, our assignments, our fundamentals, our reactions, how to beat blocks, and that's been the biggest thing for me. Is if we can do that, if we can get in a good stance, our eyes are clean, we can read our keys. If somebody comes to block us, we can beat the blocker and we can make a tackle, we're going to be very successful. It doesn't matter what the call is. It can be any call in the book, but if we play with those great fundamentals and we can win those one-on-one matchups, then we're going to be successful. So everything that we do is streamlined and geared to what we're going to do in a game. We don't do drills just to do stuff. Like, it's going to be something, it's going to be a reaction, it's going to be something that's going to happen during the course of the game. And the more we do it over and over and over and over, like that lumberjack that goes out there and just chops wood every day and he's all bowed up and he's got muscles because he's doing the same thing over and over and over, that's what we're about. And we're going to build those fundamentals into habits. So when we're out there playing the game, we're not thinking about, well, I got to take this first step, I got to fit my hands here. It just naturally happens. And then we can worry about the other stuff that's conducive to winning the game. The alignment of the backfield set. All right, this back's deep, this back's over here. All right, we got a chance of them crossing, just things like that. And little indicators that help us get an advantage over the offense. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing it, keep hammering it until it becomes a habit and we can go out there and play fast and be effective.
We got some linebackers coming into that we're speaking to, Kenny Haynes and Sione Tupou. Got the elder statesman and the young buck. What can you tell me about Sione and Kenny and how they are in the room together?
I'll start with the young bull, Kenny. He's very talented. I'm very excited about Kenny and the direction and the ability that he has. He's been a quick study. He's learning fast. He's very coachable, which is great. When you have talent and you're coachable, then good things are gonna happen. And I'm really excited about him. I love, if you're gonna project to a defensive position from an offensive position, I love quarterbacks and running backs. Those guys are used to playing in the middle of the formation. They can kind of see things that a linebacker needs to see. And Kenny was a former running back who's come over and played linebacker. He runs like a running back, which is great. He's got a physical demeanor to him. He's not afraid of contact and afraid of sticking it in there, and he's very coachable. So I think the sky's the limit for Kenny as long as he, keeps working and hammering and moving in the same direction, which I think he will. Sione is smart, man. He is a smart guy, and anything that you tell him, it sticks in his brain. And so he's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's got a lot of football savvy, and he's a guy that's coming along fundamentally too. The whole group is, and because he's so smart, if those fundamentals marry with his football intelligence, he's going to find himself in the right position a lot of times. So, I'm excited about both of those guys, man. I mean, really, if you go top to bottom in that room, there's not a player that you're not excited about. And my goal, and I've told him, I said, guys, if all 5 or 6 of you guys can play, then all 6 of you are going to play in the game. If you're doing the right things and you're working and you're preparing and we trust you that you're going to go out there and execute your assignment, I'll play 5 of you guys and we'll stay fresh and we'll rotate you in there, and we're not necessarily, I want individual success for these guys and they want individual success, but what I've told them, our goal is to be the best linebacker corps in the Sun Belt. That's our goal, and not just individually, a core. We're so deep that we can rotate guys in and there's no drop off from whoever the starters are to the next guy. And that's a group collective effort and mindset. And I like the way that these guys have bought into it, and they're challenging each other and they're pushing each other, and they're iron sharpening iron, and they're trying to get better every day. And I think we're building a core that there's not going to be any fall off. We can roll guys in there, we can stay fresh, and we can play fast for 60 minutes.
You your journey, you helped, build the program up at Incarnate Word and then going to La Tech and now Texas State. What's kind of been the journey like for you, especially going from especially at Incarnate Word where you were having to help start a brand new program up in San Antonio to coming to here?
Well, that was wild, by the way. I mean, I've been in programs where the foundation was set, and then you get to Incarnate Word, and I was actually the equipment manager my first couple of years for a startup program. And it's little things like goal post pads and the little flags that go on top of the goalposts. It's just stuff you take for granted that is already there. You're having to order it and start it and do it all brand new. So that experience from just starting a program and really the back end of it, of dealing with the administration and the academics and how to structure everything, within a football program to kind of make the best of both worlds meet, that was all brand new there. So that was a great learning experience there. And then you go to a place like Louisiana Tech, who's got tradition. Everything's established there. It's a winning program. It's in a great recruiting area. And then it's going in and just kind of learning, from a veteran, Skip Holtz, of how to create and run a successful program consistently, and the attitude and the culture that was brought into that. And then coming here, it's taking all of those experiences that I've experienced on both sides of it and seeing, this early portion. I got here in February, so this early portion has kind of been me evaluating operation and how things work, scheme, and all of that stuff, and kind of sitting back and seeing it, and then kind of injecting your input and things and ideas that you think will help create a better product, ultimately. And so, that's kind of the point where we are. Zach and I work great together. It's our personalities mesh really well. Our vision on what we want to try to accomplish meshes very well. He's been really open and listening and kind of hearing what I'm saying, and we're implementing all this stuff. So it's been a good deal, and it's just hopefully going to continue to get better. Knock on wood, and we can get this place to where we want it to be.
Is there a big difference that stands out to you between Ruston and San Marcos and your early impressions here?
As far as the city's concerned?
Cities and the program. Let's do that.
Yeah, cities, there's a big difference. Clearly, and this is going to kind of sound funny, but San Marcos is very much more metropolitan than Ruston, Louisiana. The thing about Ruston is, and we told recruits this, guys, you got to love football and maybe hunting and fishing. If you love those things, then you're going to love Ruston, Louisiana, because there really is not much else to do. And in some aspects, that was a good thing, because there were hardly any distractions, and guys were really focused in on, they had nothing to do, so they'd come up to the field house and get an extra workout in, or study film, whatever. You come to San Marcos, clearly there's a lot more to do. It's a lot more active. It's a beautiful campus, great city. So there's going to be a lot more social activities, I guess, for my family and I than there was in Ruston. But I did like Ruston. I'm a country kid, man. My dad was a head high school football coach for almost 30 years, and I grew up in small towns. So he loved coaching in the small schools. So us going to Ruston from San Antonio, I was like, oh, well, this is kind of like back home for me, being in a small town and doing all of that. But it's definitely great to be back in this area, and particularly, that San Marcos, New Braunfels area, because it's not a better place than this now.
I agree. You played football at A&M for I think you're a 4-year starter. If I was looking at
correct,
looking at that right. How much do you think that playing experience commands respect from your current players when they know, oh, this is a guy who's done it at the P5 level, I better sit tight and listen?
I think it does. I think it commands a lot of respect, and my players over the course of my career have told me as such. I coach from a player's perspective. I coach players the way that I like to be coached in college, and I had a great position coach, Alan Waddell, who he was really kind of a player's coach in the way that he handled you and treated you, and every kid is different. What you got to do as a coach is you got to come in and you got to learn their personalities and learns what pushes their buttons. My dad was a yeller and a screamer. He was old school. But eventually, if you just constantly yell and scream, it just goes in one ear and out the other. You know, it was always kind of that deal when your parents, like, when you did something wrong and they're like, I'm really disappointed in you. And that was like hit you the most. And you're like, oh man, you know, it wasn't the screaming and the yelling. It was when they said they really disappointed you. You know, I kind of coach in that aspect of, you know, what does the kid need? If the kid needs a kick in the butt, then I want to kick him in the butt. But, you know, I'm a teacher. I mean, that's what I am. That's what you are as a coach. You're a teacher. And it's my job to teach these guys the game and, you know, try to get the best out of them and try to push them to a level that they can't do on their own. You know, and I've got a different way of doing it. But that was kind of a long-winded answer to go back of, you know, I can talk to them from experience. I can say, hey, what did you see here? And they're like, Coach, I saw this. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that because I've done it. You know, there's been multiple coaching points that I've given to them. I'm like, I'm telling you this because I've done it myself out on the football field. You know, I'm telling them that I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I haven't done before. You know, if I'm asking you to do it, I've done it. So, you know, I think, you know, they understand that. They respect that. They know where I'm coming from. They know I've been there, done that, and they know I have their best interest in mind.
You have a lot of influences on your, obviously your dad, but then you also had like R.C. Slocum and then the whole Wrecking Crew defense. How much have they helped you like kind of get to the point where kind of influence your style? Not your style of coaching, but like especially on defense, your defensive mindset.
It's been almost entirely, you know, from our defenses back then and the philosophy of playing defensive football. That hasn't changed. You know, there's maybe some scheme things here or there that have changed over the course of the years with RPOs and all the different things that offenses are doing. But that base kind of fundamental mindset of playing defensive football is the same. And we played it as well as anybody at A&M during that course of time that I was there. And I think we were in the top 25 in defense on, I think, 4 out of 5 years that I was there. And we finished in the top 10 a few years. And there's, you know, like I said, I mean, there's a few things of just getting aligned properly, you know, making sure that you're in the right spot so you don't give the offense an advantage, you know, playing physical, playing hard, running to the football, tackling, you know, all the kind of, you know, the old adage, football's about blocking, tackling. I mean, it's what it's about. And, you know, there's a tendency to kind of stray from those areas as you kind of go through this with everything that's happening. And the whole deal is just to stay the course. You know, stay the course and the pillars of what playing good football is about. And, you know, that kind of references back to what I was talking about coaching these guys. You know, we're going to take those pillars of playing good defense and the fundamentals and the things that have created great defenses over the course of history of football, and we're going to hit on those every day. But those guys have been a huge influence on my career. I talk to them, you know, all the time. Still talk to Coach Slocum. Phil Bennett, you know, was a mentor of mine. Mike Hankwitz is a mentor of mine. You know, my position coach, Alan Waddell, he was in my wedding. I mean, that's how much he meant to me. And you know, those guys are still very active and in my life. And you know, I call them for advice all the time. And they were pretty successful at what they did too.